Hello everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel, and today I have some pretty big news. I am going to be trying out a different base model, and I wanted to talk about this new base model that I found, and I'm thinking about making the switch, and I want to bring like a quick little review on what I think about it and my transition towards using it. So for the longest time I've been using more or less the torinyan base for like 2 years, and there hasn't been another base on the market that actually caught my attention until now. Okay, one of my friends brought me this base and I was like, okay, I'll give it a try, I'll tell you what I think. And I was able to pick it up, and then I tried it out, and now I have a nice little review on little points on what I think about it. So obviously I put together a really quick avatar model and whatnot. She's very pretty. There's a couple things that I had to make changes to it. It didn't come out of the box as perfect, which I don't expect things to be perfect like right outside the box, because a lot of these bases that come out, there's at least like 1 or 2 or 3 things that I have to do to it to make sure things work properly. Like I get the rotations I need and the rotations I like, or something like that. And I had to do the same thing for the torinyan base, but now I guess I can like talk about it. So pretty much, like, the first thing about this base, well, I guess we'll go over the good parts first. So this base looks very incredibly polished. It's very, very attractive, and also it's heavily inspired by the Western beauty standards. Like the hips were very exaggerated. The breasts, they look almost like she had a boob job, right? But it still looks nice and perky, pretty much. And the butt also looks really good as well, in my opinion. How it came out of the box was that the base was actually extremely wide, or like she had like some birthing hips. Like she was fucking like super thick, and usually I don't really like my models to be that thick, so I actually had to go in there and start resizing some things. So I shrunk the hips down, I decreased the size of the neck, I decreased the size of the hands and whatnot to kind of be more proportional and how I usually like it. Typically how I like my models is that like I like to give them smaller faces and with some small hands to be proportional, so that they come off more kin towards like the Far East beauty standards. So I kind of like to deviate a little bit, but it was a great template to kind of like make all the edits that I wanted to. And so model comes out beautiful. If you like Western stuff, then you most likely like this base. The unfortunate part is that there's no shape keys to actually decrease the size of some of her body parts. So you have to do all of that by hand, pretty much, with your sculpting tools. Another good thing is that it's a good and bad thing. It's a pretty high poly model, and that's not a bad thing, because if you take areas like the butt, for instance, if you were to sit down in this game, you would see the polygons on your butt, and that could be kind of unsightly. So having like a denser poly count in those kinds of areas do really go a long way towards comfortability, in my opinion. So that's one of the other things I liked about that, because I used to experience a lot of issues with a lot of other models where the poly count wouldn't be high enough for the areas like the butt and certain areas that bend, major joints, and it would come out looking really sharp and you could see the poly count, and usually I don't really like that. So this base is, it's good. It's got really good quad topology. and there's enough geometry there for you to make sculpting edits and all that good stuff. It did come with shape keys to, like, you know, make her like bigger, but there's no shape keys to make her smaller. So that's like one of my criticisms. The other thing is that the rig itself is extremely sophisticated. So like she's got a ton of twist bones. She's got a lot of moving parts going on. And one of the really good things that this creator did was she or he added like a little tool, you know, like a little tool that they coded for Unity, where it plugs and chugs the rotation constraints for you instead of having to go in there by hand. And I've had experience where I would actually have to like go up to creators and ask them, like, hey, what are the settings for the bicep flex rotation constraint? Because I don't know what the settings are. You think I'm gonna sit here for like 45 minutes like doing trial and error to see like how to get it to work? No. Like, so like he or she adding that was a huge time saver, which is always really nice. Torinyan also had something like that for his base as well, and that's one of the reasons why I really liked it a lot. Now, one of the other things I really like about this space is that, you know, she just feels good to be in, you know. It's very comfortable. The chest rotation is actually really good. It's like when you bend down or you're sitting down, it doesn't look as like very like weird as like I've seen on other bases. Like some bases totally like break, or it has like an awkward rotation around the chest area if they don't do it right. Now, there was one part on this base that did have an awkward rotation for me, and that was on the neck area. I actually had to go through the neck area myself, and I actually did a little bit of reweighting there to get the rotation on how I like it. So that was one thing that I had to do to it and whatnot. One other thing too is that because there's a lot of twist bones, it means that the weight painting might be a little bit more sophisticated, so it's not really beginner friendly. Like, it's not like you're working with Panda Base where you don't really give a shit about twist bones or anything like that, and then you're just like fucking data transfer your weights and you're done, right? No, this base is a little bit more complicated, like especially for the crotch area. The two twist bones in the leg actually have weights directly on the crotch. So if you're wearing like panties and stuff, when your legs lift up, so does the crotch. So you're sharing weights between 3 different bones on the crotch area. So when I was weight painting my panties or whatever the fuck to the model, I was getting these super awkward rotations whenever I would lift my legs, and usually that's not the case with most models, because usually there's only one bone near the crotch area and it's just the hips, and it's always solid red 1.0, so you never really have to worry about it, and it's always really easy. But for this space, you actually have to go in there and you have to fix it, which is something that I never usually have to do. So instead of it just being red weight paint for the hip, it actually has to be 0.8 for the hip, 0.1 for twist bone left, 0.1 for twist bone right, and you have to normalize it to make sure it all comes out even so that it doesn't look weird when you push your legs up. And you have to do that with every single vert that's on the panty, pretty much, or where it needs to be applied to. So there's a ton of tools to help you in Blender on doing that, but still, it's a pain in the ass when you never really had to do it before. But other than that, you know, this model is probably one of the best models on the marketplace. You know, one of the best base models on the marketplace, and I've heard really good things about it, especially from the dancer community, and that's why I wanted to talk about it and whatnot. And even with the new hand tracking too, like, it doesn't look cursed. Unfortunately, Torinyan was not so fortunate the hands on that base model came out so bad looking. So you actually have to go in your menu and go to legacy hand tracking. But for this model, you don't really have to because it's actually passable. So that's always nice. But yeah, I think my next model that I'm gonna be creating was probably gonna be using this space, and I'm gonna get really familiar with it, and I'm gonna start making my own edits to it, which I've already started, so, you know. But I just wanted to make an update video on what I'm doing, and, you know, if you purchased my models in the past, you have a lot to look forward to, because I'm going to be making new models with a new base, and it's going to be kind of a refresher. But yeah, thanks for watching the video. I have to get going now. Bye.